And welcome to another show. Everybody knows I've got a soft spot for PETA. I mean, who hasn't? So if I told you that goats and cows are repeatedly shot in the head at the University of Arizona, would you feel a little upset? So what are PETA trying to do about this? What are they up to now? Well, they're seeking to kill floor cameras to prevent more egregious suffering. In fact, a recent U.S. Department of Agriculture report reveals that a goat remained conscious and cried out after being shot in the head at the University of Arizona Food Products and Safety Laboratory. And that's just the most recent recorded incident. Apparently, the facility has a history of violations, but we'll get into that. Colin Henstock is the Assistant Manager of Investigations for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, P-E.T.A., and he works closely with PETA's undercover investigators and whistleblowers to expose the conditions and treatment of animals in the meat industry, in the pet trade, and elsewhere. Colin's work has led to the closures of a filthy dairy farm and a decrepit greyhound blood farm, and it includes a groundbreaking exposé of Iditarod champions kennels and other high-profile cases, and as well as monitoring federal enforcement actions at the slaughterhouses, calls on state and federal authorities to bring charges for egregious slaughter violations. Colin Henstock, he's the Assistant Manager of Investigations of PETA. Welcome, Colin.
Hi, Mark. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, with your investigations, just how prevalent are similar incidents, in the slaughterhouses across the country? And explain to my listeners why kill floor cameras help. And in fact, how can listeners save animals' lives by also going vegan?
Well, Mark, these incidents happen disturbingly often at slaughterhouses all across the country. USDA inspectors frequently document workers repeatedly shooting animals in the head, cutting their throats while they're still conscious, and more. And although the agency has the authority to refer especially bad slaughterhouses for prosecution, it seems they've never done so, dating back to at least 2007. And kill floor cameras would potentially help by forcing workers to handle animals lawfully if they knew caring people were watching. And they would also give consumers an unfiltered look into what the industry really does to animals. Even the best-run slaughterhouses are still violently killing individuals who don't want to die. Mm-hmm. Farmed animals feel pain every bit as much as humans do, and they value their lives just as you and I value ours. So that's why PETA encourages everyone to eat vegan foods rather than animal-based ones.
All right, so now you're on to the U of A's Food Products and Safety Laboratory. I mean, do you have a proven specific, incidences? I mean, what have federal inspectors documented at the U of A? Can you tell us that?
We do have proven specific incidents. On July the 16th, as you mentioned, a goat remained conscious and cried out after being shot in the head. Back on January 26th, workers repeatedly shot a steer whose front legs collapsed as he bled from the forehead and also cried out until a fifth shot finally ended his suffering. And a few days before that, on January 19th, another steer had remained conscious after being shot in the head. On January 8th, a cattle pen was documented by federal inspectors as containing deep mud, and pig pens had sharp wires and rusty metal protruding into them. Mm-hmm. Then last year, a worker ran a steer into a concrete pen whose floor was covered with standing water and mud, which caused the animal to fall. And a month before that, in June 2021, sheep were left without water for at least 35 minutes in 93-degree weather.
So what have federal inspectors documented then at the U of A, and what's being done?
Well, all of those incidents I listed were documented by federal inspectors. And also going back to April 2020, an inspector saw that a pig was electrocuted, shot at least once in the head, and then electrocuted again. And after all of that, the pig still remained conscious and crying out. And finally, a final shock and shot to the head rendered the animal unconscious. And USDA inspectors have witnessed all of this. They've documented it all. Typically, the most that they will do is suspend their inspections when they see violations like these at slaughterhouses, which shuts down plant operations for a brief time until they're assured it won't happen again, and then plant operations start back up. And we see some slaughterhouses rack up suspensions over and over, and the USDA just carries out this same pattern without taking any further action.
Yeah, I don't understand. You're needing the support of thousands of people, aren't you? You know what it makes me want to do? It makes me want to suggest we have PETA TV. And all these cameras are on the kill floors of all the slaughterhouses and other egregious acts across the country. And people can tune in and show their kids first thing in the morning, just like the smell of paraffin or whatever you want if you work at an airport. It's disgusting. So what is PETA asking the university to do?
We asked that the University of Arizona live stream footage from this facility because the workers and the students in this facility might take their duty to handle animals more lawfully, more seriously, if they knew that caring people were looking over their shoulders and seeing what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. But in a little defense to, I think the facility's manager is Samuel Garcia, you sent a letter to him, did you not, calling on him to live stream video from the slaughterhouse? What happened there?
Well, we've not gotten any response from him or the university. It's been radio silence.
Okay.
And we did also ask Dr. Garcia to report the personnel involved in these incidents to local law enforcement officials and ensure that they're reassigned to positions that don't involve having contact with live animals, as Arizona state law does prohibit knowingly or recklessly inflicting unnecessary physical injury to any animal. But no response from Dr. Garcia or the university.
So the bottom line is, when you've got video, it's undisputed proof, right? And then you can take it somewhere. Until then, people aren't being honest, right?
Absolutely. And that would also give consumers an unfiltered look into what the industry really does to animals, how they're handling these animals as they move them off of the crowded trucks, moving them onto the kill floor, shooting them in the head and cutting their throats. The consumers would see the whole process.
Colin, it could be said in defense of the people who have to do that job. Look, I'm taught how to shoot. I'm taught where to place the rifle or gun, whatever it is, to make sure that it's an instant kill. And I can't help it if the animal moves or something happens that I don't do it. I have to shoot again. I mean, what can you answer to that?
Well, federal law does require that animals are immediately rendered unconscious by a single shot. So it is a reality of the industry that it's unpredictable, and these animals will suffer these violent deaths. But the law in the book says they have to do it right every time. And
fair enough.
When you think of what each of these individuals is going through, it matters so much to that individual that this worker is shooting them repeatedly in the head.
Mm-hmm.
So the empathy in this situation really belongs more so with the animals who are being killed in this way.
My word. Well, just how common really are incidents like these, in U.S. slaughterhouses? And how can people prevent animals from being killed in these horrific ways in these slaughterhouses, Colin?
They happen all the time at slaughterhouses all across the country. USDA inspectors will see this happen and document it in notices of suspension, which are then posted to the USDA's website. And we routinely monitor that website and review the notices, which are posted every few days. The single most effective way that the public can help in this and can prevent animals from being killed in these horrific ways is to stop supporting this industry and just simply choose vegan options rather than animal-based ones.
Yeah, maybe easier said than done for a lot of people's minds have to be turned around, their whole upbringing and everything. But I do know from an interview I did last year that it's up pretty high now, the percentage of awareness of human beings and buying vegan. I mean, there's vegan burgers, vegan steaks. I mean, there's all sorts of things. And you would honestly think that you're eating meat. So maybe it's a good point.
Yeah, it's never been easier to try vegan options, and even without the mock meats and pricier items than that, it's the simplest thing in the world to choose vegetables at the grocery store that already constitute the majority of people's diets. Just skip the meat and try vegan recipes.
Now, folks, remember, you can always go to PETA.org, PETA.org. Great site, a lot of information, and you can help. I mean, support and speaking up about things, particularly in this day and age. You can find a lot more information there. But, in closing, Colin, with your investigations, I mean, you guys have got, whistleblowers and investigators all across more and more people are sort of trying to support and coming on your side. So the kill floor cameras would really help, yes?
They definitely would. They would definitely force workers to handle animals lawfully if they know someone's looking over their shoulder and seeing directly what they're doing.
I tell you what, it breaks my heart every time I hear something like this. It's sad. Maybe one day, my friend. But look, thank you for your time, Colin. I mean, I know you're busy. Colin Henstock, folks, he's the Assistant Manager of Investigations at PETA, bringing us that latest news close to home with the U of A. I'm a little surprised there, but there you go. Thanks, Colin, and keep up your great work, okay?
Thank you very much, Mark.
All right, you're welcome. Bye-bye.